President Chin, please go ahead.
Good afternoon or evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. We are starting our special board meeting, and I'm calling to order at 5:30 p.m. Next on the agenda, we're actually going to recess to close session for items 2.1, Government Code Section 54957.6, Conference with Labor Negotiators. And I'm going to now recess us to close session. Thank you.
President Chin, we're ready to begin.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We are returning out of closed session with nothing to report. So we are going to reconvene our regular meeting. The first item up after a regular item is our flag salute. So that's item 3.2. And if everyone can please, who's here or online, to stand and repeat after me. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on the agenda is roll call. So we'll go with Trustee Corzo.
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Proctor.
Here.
Trustee Warren.
Here.
And Trustee Watkins.
Here.
All right, and I'm here too. And so we're all here. And before we move on to the approval of the agenda today, Trustee Corzo, would you mind doing the language translation announcement, please?
Sure. Gracias a todos por estar presente. Queremos invitarlos a usar la traducción que tenemos disponible si la ocupa. Pueden encontrar eso en el icono del mundo que dice interpretación en la pantalla, donde dice mudar y video. Gracias.
Thank you, Trustee Corzo. Next up on the agenda is item 3.4, approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Watkins, for the motion and Trustee Corzo for the second. Since we normally, when we're all here, we can just do the regular I vote, but we're still in two different locations. So roll call vote. Trustee Corzo.
Here.
It would be we're voting on the approval of
yes.
the motion.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay. Trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Trustee Warren.
Yes.
And Trustee Watkins.
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. Okay, up to statements, item 4.1, public statements related to agenda items. Persons will be called on at the appropriate time. So we will then move on to the proposed consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted by the board in one motion in the form listed below. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items be removed and discussed from the consent agenda. The superintendent and staff recommend approval of all consent items. Movement of any recommended consent item is appropriate at this time, although we only have one item on the agenda. So does anyone want to discuss this one item or have questions or not? And I guess we can ask the public. Diane, if you wouldn't mind asking the public if they would like to discuss this item.
If there's any members of our attendees who would like to discuss this item, have it pulled from the consent agenda, please raise your hand at this time. President Chin, there's no hands raised.
Okay, so I would love to entertain a motion for the consent agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Proctor, for the motion and Trustee Warren for the second. Roll call vote. Trustee Corzo. I think your mic was off.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Proctor,
Yes.
Trustee Warren,
Yes.
Trustee Watkins,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well. So the consent item has passed. All right, the main event here. We are on item 6.1. Dr. Rosas or Sue, please take it away.
All right, I would like to have Sue Weiser move forward with these next two items. She can explain the background and what she would ask from you this evening.
Good evening. We are very pleased to present the tentative agreement for a side letter with SMETA for the elementary expansion to 5 days in-person instruction. On April 22nd, the district and SMETA did reach a tentative agreement on the side letter, and we received the good news this afternoon that it was ratified. So as you can see in the highlights of the MOU, this change was made due to the change in physical distancing guidance from 6 feet to 3 feet. And so the district met with SMETA to negotiate the impacts, which includes stipends for additional work and services and preparation that's required, as well as provisions for time to prepare for the return and cost-free learning hub or childcare, which removes the barrier for some staff who are unable to return due to having their children still at home. So I respectfully request that the board approve the proposed side letter as presented for elementary expansion to 5 days in person instruction with SMETA, so that we can move forward and begin on Monday, May 3rd.
Great. Thank you, Sue. Very exciting news. Opening up to board clarifying questions. Does anybody have a question? No? Okay. I'll open up to public comment on this item. Diane, if you wouldn't mind.
To our attendees, if you'd like to make a comment on this agenda item, please use the raise your hand functionality in Zoom at the bottom of your screen at this time. President Chin, I don't see any hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. I will officially close public item on this particular item and open up for board discussion and a motion. Does anybody want to say anything about this item? Nobody?
I'll say something. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Trustee Warren.
I really want to thank just incredible thanks to SMETA and their negotiating teams, as well as to Sue and her team for negotiating this MOU side letter. We were asking for a May 10th return, and both sides were able to negotiate a May 3rd, which in my mind is amazing, phenomenal, and I'm sure there's quite a few people that are excited about this. I know my children are quite excited about being able to go back to school 5 days a week, and just being able to be a part of their campus community. So as a mom of 2 kids within our district, I just really want to extend my thanks as a trustee. I want, on behalf of all the students within our district, I would really like to thank the teams as well.
Just echoing that, thank you to everyone and for just for the process being smooth and for being able to get our kiddos back more quickly than we anticipated. And, I know for some families and for some teachers that, there's going to be more transition. And so, I thank everyone for your patience and flexibility with that as well. And that's it. Yeah, thank you guys.
We can see. No, I just also want to echo everything. It's been a crazy year, and in some ways, as I told my kids too, that like the next couple days is their last couple days of distance learning to some degree. I think it's while there's this old adage that you can't make everybody happy, and with my daughter in her very sarcastic and joking way said, "Thanks, Dad. Now I have to go to school 5 days a week, right, instead of just 2." And I don't know how I took that because of all the pain and suffering we've all had just to get to this point. But I just want to thank everybody, thank the community, thank all the parents, thank the teachers and administrators, Sue, Smita, Julie, and everyone's negotiation team. It was a big deal. And to actually not only come back to school a week earlier, we did direct May 10th, but to come back May 3rd, but also to, for some people who don't know, we've increased the instruction time too. So I think that's also a really big deal. I know that there's still a number of families who still have chosen distance learning, and I think that's fine. But for those who are coming back to campus for the first time, I'm just saying welcome back. And I know we still have a hard road to go, and I know that the teachers and the principals have still done a lot. And so for anyone who wants to help out, again, please reach out to the teachers and administrators and staff just to say thank you and help them in any way you can. So if that's it, the 11 motion for this item. So anyone want to make a motion?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to also thank everyone. It's been a long road, but we're getting there, and yeah, I know there's lots of kids excited. So, and teachers. I think our whole community is grateful for the progress, and again, we know it's not perfect for everyone, but we're getting there. Thank you. I'll go ahead. You can make the motion.
Me? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the tentative agreement with SMFCSD on the side letter for elementary expansion to 5 days in person.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Proctor for the motion and Trustee Corzo for the second. Roll call vote. Trustee Corzo.
Yes.
Trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Trustee Warren.
Yes.
And Trustee Watkins.
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well.
Is it okay to, I realized I had one other kind of comment / question. Should I save it for the next one?
I would say for the next one, since we just finished this.
Sounds good. Perfect.
Yeah, okay. So we're moving on to the next item, which is basically very similar, but regarding middle school. So Sue.
Thank you. All right, for middle school, we did reach a tentative agreement with SMFCSD on a side letter for middle school hybrid and a full return to in-person learning. We reached agreement on April 22nd. And in terms of middle school, some of the highlights is that middle schools will be moving through all of the phases after 1 week. It will allow for students to attend all classes beginning May 10th. And also has similar stipends for the extra duties and preparation that's required to return. And so I respectfully request that the board approve the proposed side letter for middle school with SMFCSD as negotiated.
Thank you, Sue. Any clarifying questions from the board? No. Questions? Okay, we'll go to public comment, if any. Diane, please.
Hello to our attendees. If you'd like to make public comment on this agenda item, please use the raise your hand functionality at the bottom of your screen at this time. President Chin, we have one hand raised at this moment. How long?
We'll go 3 minutes, our regular 3 minutes.
We have Arlene Agricola. Apologies for your pronunciation of your name. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, clarify for SDC classes, for middle school and elementary. That's it.
Thank you. President Chin, we have no more raised hands at this time.
Great. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everyone, for the public comments. Dr. Roses, would you mind clarifying, or Sue, if you can clarify the question from the public?
I'll turn that back to Sue, as she has been working with this.
SDC classes will also return, and elementary SDC will follow the elementary schedule, and the middle school SDC classes will follow the middle school schedule.
Great, thank you. I don't know if I said, but I'll officially close the public comment on this item, open up to board discussion, and eventually a motion. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make?
I just had one, thanks again. First of all, I had one question around, or one, I guess, thought around, I know there's been some concerns raised around report cards. And just as students are transitioning classes potentially, and, with all of the transitions that, folks are being asked to make, I wonder if there's some modifications that could potentially be made to that process to kind of, support our educators that are continuing to make these transitions and potentially seeing a third group of students. And so I know that some parents might find that information valuable. For some folks, I know we've received some public comment that maybe folks would be okay not having those for this last kind of section of school. So I just wonder if there's maybe some creative thinking to do around how to address that in a way that kind of supports educators with the transition, and also maybe gives parents a couple of concrete things to focus on with their kids over the summer or something like that. So just curious what other folks think about that, and if there's potentially some flexibility there.
Great, any other discussion on this item? Anybody want?
I wanted to speak without speaking at the previous topic. I didn't want to repeat myself, but I did want to just thank everybody for all of their hard work. I definitely want to thank SMFCSD, Julie and the team there, Sue and her team here, and then all of the teachers for just really, I know this is another change at the end of the school year, and I know that kids and students are really going to appreciate being on campus more. I know that I've heard a lot of feedback from middle schoolers and middle school families that they're just so grateful for being back on campus. So thank you once again, a huge thank you actually, just really grateful and can't thank you enough, so thanks.
I also, again, same as with the elementary MOU, thank you to SMFCSD, Julie and Lisa, and the rest of their team, and all the teachers that they represent, recognizing that you have been able to pivot so many times throughout last spring and the school year so far, and we're asking you to pivot yet again in the last 6 weeks of school. And you guys are at the ready and you're doing it. And to me, that just reflects just how, just the strength of your profession and the strength and the dedication of the teachers we have in our district. And I want to thank you again for doing this with our students at the center of this negotiated decision on the part of SMFCSD and its membership. Thank you.
This is as we all get back used to being in the boardroom, just a little nonverbal communication of who's trying to go next and speak is we had to get used to again. I just wanted to say thank you as well. Again, same thing, absolutely. I know the teachers, administration, the negotiating teams, it was a huge task just to get us to this point. And in the end, we're actually brought back more kids on more days. And so before it was going to be just 2 days a week, but we're doing 4 days a week. And now we're also actually moving through we eliminated the tiers, the colored tiers. And so basically by time, I forget what the exact date is, but the kids will be actually almost back to normal in some ways in middle school, which is fantastic. And so again, I want to thank you all for all that. As for the previous comment about the report cards, I don't know, Dr. Roses, from my understanding, I think it sounds like we're still talking about that, or there's still discussions about that. I don't know if that needs to be an agenda item at some point, or whether or not the district is going to make a decision. I am okay with however the district wants to proceed in terms of personally report cards. I personally do look at them. I know that during the previous, was it semesters or trimesters? I think the decision was most of it was actually not in the numbers, but in the actual description, student description and the work. I understand that there is more difficulty in that as students have changed teachers quite a bit now. So I'd be curious to see whatever staff recommends for that at a later time. So that's my opinion, but thank you. Thank you again. Trustee Corsa, did you want to say something?
Yeah, in terms of the report card piece, I do think that it's really important that, you know, I think it's important all families get report cards, but particularly the families whose students have been struggling a bit. I think, you know, any information that our teachers can give to those families about what areas of focus students need to work on or get support on. Also, just like I think that's key in terms of, you know, figuring out, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we can speak a little more to like how, you know, how students are being selected for middle school if they need that support. I know, like, you know, is that going to be done through another type of assessment, or I'm just, you know, I think that is good information to have. And I also I do remember that we had specifically for like our English learners, it was like a one pager that was to be used for like parent teacher conferences. And it was really, I think, key for supporting those students because it included like different sections, like this is what the student will be working on, this is what the teacher will work on, this is what the family will work on, and then these are next steps. And, you know, when we think about really supporting our kids that, you know, need to catch up as quickly as possible, I think, you know, the report cards and a tool or a one pager like that is really, you know, it's going to be very helpful. So that's just my 2 cents, but I am curious about, you know, some of the things leading up to that.
Great, thank you, trustees. Before we get to the actual motion, Diane, it appears that we might have missed one public commenter. So I'm going to reopen public comment and allow the speaker to speak, and then I'll close it again.
Brandy, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, President Chin, for the opportunity to comment on this. Yeah, so I just wanted to speak to the issue of the report cards and just to state agreement with what Trustee Corzo has brought up, that in this year that there has not been the opportunity for the Galileo testing, and very, you know, delayed opportunities for in-person contact with teachers, if any, for all of our students. And the CASP testing is not going to cover all students, and those results won't be available until fall. I think any opportunities for students to have any sort of kind of meaningful assessment, not in a punitive way, but in a helpful, comprehensive way, is going to be really important and really meaningful. And if that is in the form of a report card, I think that I would like to see the best ways for doing that, or the most thoughtful ways for doing that, and really to lead with what is best for students. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, thank you. I will officially close a public comment on this item. Obviously, you know, the report cards is part of the discussion of reopening and bringing our kids back on campus, and how the teachers will deal with that with sometimes new students. But before we dive further deeper into this topic, I want to make sure it's actually a separate topic from reopening. So Dr. Roses, maybe we will we'll have a meeting in the minds later and figure out whether or not we need to have an item specifically on the report cards at some point, because it's not an agendized item at this moment. So at this point, I would love to, anyone want to make a motion on the
I'm sorry, I wanted to make another comment specifically about middle school students, and
Yeah,
I think
so-
it does relate to this. So
Yep.
something that I've been kind of noticing with some middle schoolers that I'm in touch with is that there is like a hesitance for some, specifically like new sixth graders. I mean, they're almost done with the school year, but you know, they left elementary school, and what I've noticed is like some middle schoolers that I know, like they don't want to go back to in person. I think it's because of the anxiety, because you know they didn't have that like smooth transition into middle school, and so I feel like that's something that I want to make sure that we're supporting in all of our students. And really, you know, it might be you know, we might have some students that say they want to stay in distance learning. Maybe they're doing really well academically in distance learning, but their kind of reasoning behind not wanting to go back is more about you know, being overwhelmed or scared of like the going from like 0 to 60, right? Like you're at home all the time, it's very calm, very different environment, and that's definitely every family's choice to make. But I do just kind of want to raise that issue because it's kind of like a common thing I'm seeing. Not super common, I don't like talk to a ton of sixth graders, but but you know, common enough that it's something that I've noticed. So I just kind of wanted to elevate that because I'm a little concerned that might be happening more than we're aware of. So maybe we need to give a little more support to our sixth graders.
Great, thank you, Trustee Corzo. I would probably just expand it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not just the sixth graders, but you know, all students who are coming back from distance learning probably would need additional support. And so I'm glad that we have counselors on campus and everyone who can help out. And so with that, does anyone want to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the middle school tentative agreement.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Watkins for the motion and Trustee Warren for the second. Roll call vote. Trustee Corzo.
Yes.
Trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Trustee Warren.
Yes.
And Trustee Watkins.
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. So seems a little anticlimactic from all the things that we've gone through this year, but our kids are coming back. Sue, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Chen. I just wanted to thank, first of all, Lisa Fahey, who's the chief negotiator for SMFCSD, and Julie MacArthur, and both their teams, the elementary team and the middle school team. This was a heavy lift, and to be pivoting this late in the school year, it's a lot. And, you know, not only do I want to thank the negotiating teams just for their collaboration and problem solving, but I also want to thank all of our certificated staff who are also pivoting. And I just truly appreciate their commitment and dedication to providing more in-person time to our students, and which just takes us one step closer to coming back in full. So again, thank you, Lisa, Julie, and the elementary and middle school negotiating teams. We really appreciate your collaboration.
Absolutely. I don't know if we can say thank you enough to everybody. Everybody, it's been crazy. Last thing on our agenda is adjournment. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Trustee Proctor.
I'll second.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Corzo. Yeah, I feel like I have my head on a swivel with
This
you guys
meeting's
sitting right
too
next to me
short.
like this. Roll call vote. Trustee Corzo,
Yes.
Trustee Proctor,
Yes.
Trustee Warren,
Yes.
Trustee Watkins,
Yes.
and I will vote yes as well. We are adjourned at 7:01. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This was a big step. Thank you very much for the time.